My Speedwerx bender's turned up and I am just about to start building new bar work for the GQ. So yeah, before we get right into it, I thought I would show you this. I've just set it up a bit earlier today and I've just welded it to my old bender stand. But yeah, so this is the Model 2 from Speedwerx and I got 40 MB dies and 32 MB dies because I mainly use 40 and 32. And so yeah, I might take some measurements on the car and we'll get cracking.
2 hours later.
Alright, so I got on a roll and I've started making the rock sliders. I'm new to this, bending in a bender like this. Like all the other stuff I did with one of those bow and arrow benders. And so I kind of just wanted to spend a bit of time nutting it out. I think I've got the hang of it. And so from here on out, I'll just show you as I go. That's the two there, and they're sitting flush on top of one another. So if they were like out of plane with one another, you'd be able to rock them like this. So I'll just be using this end, obviously. So now, this is the fun part. So we've got the notcher, also from Speedwerx. That's a notch using the tube notcher. It's gonna make life so easy. Okay, so the way I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna use a rafter square and just a combination square. With the hole saw, I wanna know where the inside is because that's going to be where I line up the edge of my hole saw to. I worked out that I want to be 180 from center to center on the tube. That's about 130 inside to inside because this is about 50mm OD. So yeah, what I need to do is get essentially 130 from here and mark over here on this angle. So I know this is square, I know that's square, I'm at 130, so I know that's transferring 130 over to here. Okay, I'm just gonna trim those up a bit because at the moment I'm gonna have a long piece of steel going into the wall over there. So I'll trim those up, then we'll get them in the notcher. With a bit of ingenuity, I've got the notcher set up. So you can see in there, that's the mark that I left and the edge of the hole saw is pointing in the center of that. I've also got to make sure that this here is on the same angle as the hole saw. And I also put an angle finder on the top of this, zeroed it out and then put it on the top of this. I always get it within sort of half a degree and it'll be fine. So we'll do our first cut and see how it turns out. So yeah, I'll switch the slider around and we'll do the other side. If this bend wasn't here, then you'd just rely on the numbers and do it straight away. But because, yeah, it's sort of grabbing it on this bend, it means these numbers are out. And so the first measurement I get is to get this on that plane level with this here, because I know this is true. And the second one is to make sure that this block here is running true with the slider, so that this hole is going straight. And so the way I did it a second ago was to just get a ruler, hold it flush along there, then get my measuring tape and just make sure that that's running straight with the slider. Just get a measurement there, 125. That's spot on. All right, we'll give this a cut. Okay, that's 2 notches. We'll go and see how we did. Don't know if you can see those 2 notches, but I can't even tell you how much easier that is. I actually used to have a really good way of doing it. If you don't have a notcher at home, like I'll show you guys how to do this without a notcher. Obviously not everyone's gonna have one. I recommend it. They're not overly expensive. I think that one came in this kit. This kit's worth about 4 grand, which might sound like a lot to people, but if you want good gear, you pay good money. Anyway, we'll go and do the other one. If I can replicate that twice, then that's a win. All right, second one set up in the notcher. Let's do it. right, so that's the second one done. Let's check them out. So yeah, they just need a bit of neatening up around the ends just to get rid of some of the really thin steel before I weld it. And I'll make a few inserts. I haven't decided yet whether I want to do angled ones or like just straight ones. Okay, so I'm just setting the notcher up for 90 degrees because now I'm going to do the side pieces in those. I've just got to notch the other end. For 90-degree ones, you only need about 10 mil. I don't think I'm going to film too many of these. I might just start smashing through them. I ended up deciding on 3. They probably would look cooler if they were on an angle. Like, I kind of think that looks a bit tacky too. I think the best way to do it, if you had a bit more experience than me, Dan Kissler did a really good video and had the tube going in really nice directions. And I just don't have the confidence to do something tricky like that yet. I mean, I think this is probably the best I can do at this stage. But yeah, they're not bent. That's the main thing. My current ones are super bent and it's time to replace them. So before we go any further, I just wanted to show you how to do a notch without an actual notcher. Now, I used to just act as if this was going to be where the notch is, so I'm just drawing a reference line there. I essentially just used to scoop it out like that with a flappy wheel on both sides. Your flap discs start with like a really nice edge, and then eventually they just turn to crap like that from trying to dig that out. So a lot of people, as I just showed, look at notching like we've got a bit of tube here, and all we want to do is dig away with the flap disc until we get a scoop on both sides of the tube like that. And so what we're going to do instead is take off that corner and that corner. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, how does that become a notch? Well, I'll show you. So this is what we've cut. You can see we've just taken off that edge and that edge. And now if we rotate it 90 degrees, we have a notch. And so I'm just going to clean that up quickly, and I'll leave all this in so you can see how long it takes to do. You're not like digging your flappy wheels in and ruining them either. As you can see, my flappy wheel still has all its edges, unlike that one that is completely destroyed. And so just referencing them together for the first time, that one's done with a notcher, that one's done just by 2 cuts and a quick bit of cleaning. And you can see that's the notcher fit, and that's my fit. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to show you that and we'll get back on with it. I'm going to go around and just clean up all these notches, get rid of all the thin steel that's at these ends like this, get rid of all that, because obviously if I weld that to something, it sort of doesn't penetrate deeply enough this way, then it could break. And then we'll get them nice and flat and tack them up. All you proper fabricators are probably going to go nuts, but I've got a jig made up just so I can keep them flat. I've got no flat surfaces in this shed anywhere. I've just got a piece of MDF and some timber just to hold it all flat and square. Okay, done the 2 ends. I just need to arrange these bits in the middle. Handy tip when you're doing rock sliders, I only learnt this because I watched one of Kissler's video, is make sure you put your pieces in there first. Otherwise, like, you don't usually have enough space to like twist them in. I did sort of allow like 3 to 5 mil. I'll let that cool down and then we'll get those in the right spot, square them up, tack them in. Yeah, we'll get cracking. I'll weld these out. Okay, well, today is a unique kind of annoying because last night I decided to can those and start again. Congratulations, Josh. You're getting a new set of sliders. I'm just gonna unload some new steel and yeah, I'm gonna start again. This is basically the design. So you got the front wheel, the back wheel. Yeah, I wasn't confident enough to start with to do this design, but now that I've had some practice building those, I think I can do it. I've already actually started them, but ran out of steel last night. This is gonna be the back kicker. This is gonna come along. Instead of having your typical facing outwards curve like that, this is gonna kick in like that because it protects the steel a bit better and it's easy to make a brush bar from. I'll show you what I mean as we go. The other night when I was doing them, I was sort of talking to Jesse at the same time and he said, you know, you really should just do that. I was like, yeah, I was gonna, but I wasn't confident enough. So now we're gonna do it. In the end, considering you saw me make the first ones, I was just like, nah, screw it, I'm gonna smash these out. So we're done. The new sliders are done, and one of my mates has already taken the old ones. So yeah, I'll show you the new ones. I have mounted one rock slider. The reason I didn't film it was because I've never mounted rock sliders to a car before, and so I didn't want to go teaching someone how to do it or like, you know, showing you how to do it when I just needed the time to learn, sort of get the first one right. I'm picking up the same mounts as my last set anyway. Yeah, it's really not fun. But yeah, it's just a matter of getting them sitting in the right spot on jack stands and then, you know, just go to the mounts on the chassis. And so this is the one that's already mounted, and now I'm just copying that on the other side. This here's the first mount. I've just notched it. This is going to be the short one that goes to the long arm mount. And what I always do is use a bit of masking tape. So you mark it, and then I'll go a piece of masking tape around it. And as long as you get the masking tape so it meets back up perfectly, then you know you're going to get a square edge right around the pipe. It gets a bit tedious, but yeah, every single time I need a square cut across the tube, I wrap a piece of masking tape around it. Well, there it is, second one mounted. It's no fun getting under there and doing that, and it's no fun trying to show you guys while I'm doing it. So yeah, they're all tacked up and fitted to the chassis, and so now I've just taken them back off to weld them back out. So yeah, I'll give you a look at them and hopefully they fit again when I fit them back up. I'm just going to try and not put too much heat into them.
Let me just talk one time. Whoa. Whoa. Can't make a promise, but I do my best. 25 sitting on 25 racks. Just got started, no, we ain't done yet. Bought a new crib, that's a goddamn flex. Sign that check. Told them last year that I've been up next. Can't take calls, but I send that text. From way downtown, but the shit's still wet. Yeah, that's a guarantee. King of the city, man, they knowing that it's me. Ain't damn near still doing it with ease, cause it ain't that hard when I'm talking about me. Me and my funds, told them I get what I want. I need my money up front.
It's 11:15. It's been a massive day. The rock sliders are finished. I've put new camber joints in here, and the next job will be running brush bars to those rock sliders. I'll show you tomorrow why I had to make new rock sliders. The rock sliders that were on the car were for a wagon, and when I chopped the car, as you guys know if you saw that series, I had a trip coming up and I just had to get it done, and so I just made that bar work work, but like there's not enough mounts. I had to get rid of the mounts because one, I had to add body mounts for the extra cab, and two, I did long arms. And so when you do those long arms from Superior, the kit supplies new mounts for new rock sliders. I just didn't have time to implement those new mounts. Those rock sliders that Jonesy made me, they were awesome. The only time I ever bent them was when I had to remove mounts. Otherwise, they're amazing. And so, yeah, these new rock sliders pick up all my old mounts again. Now I can just bolt them up. They're all fully welded out. It took quite a few bolt on, unbolt, bolt on, because I didn't want anything to move because of the heat while I was welding. And so yeah, it was a big crap day, but the rock sliders are done, and now we can move on to the brush bars. So yeah, I'm gonna pack up for tonight, and then we'll pick up doing the brush bars tomorrow. This is a brush bar, but not yet. I'm gonna make it into a brush bar. So I just had a look at my old brush bars, and they've got a 65-degree bend here. My old bender, I used to measure the middle of the bend, and so I used to sort of just rough it up. Whereas with this bender, like you mark the start of your bend, and then where the die ends, that's where I started this bend here. And so I'm just gonna see where I want it to sit, and then I'll measure how much green I need to leave to go into the camberg. So yeah, we'll go 425 until the first bend. So we'll bend that up. That's where it's gonna be, about there. Except this bend's gonna be a bit steeper. This is only about 55 degrees. I'm gonna bend it to 65 degrees. I think we'll lose that 25 mil. So I've got the first bend, got the second bend. I'm not sure if I filmed that one. I kind of got on a roll, but now I'm just doing the notch to go into the slider. I'm just getting the notches set up. Don't know whether to try maybe one more. I should maybe try them with this bend a bit lower. I might put this one aside and maybe have one more try. I do have plenty of tube. I could maybe try one more and see if I can do a better one. So I'm just going to explain to you quickly. So by no means does this make tube easy, but it makes it a lot more bearable if you've got a notcher and one of these benders. So I always start from one end. If I was doing something symmetrical like a cab guard for a tray, I'd probably start from the center and then work out where the starts of my bends are and then go from there. But something like a brush bar, starting from one end, this is 370. That line is the start of my bend. So you do the bend, that bend is 70 degrees. And then that there is the end of the bend. And then there's a measurement of 100. And then that's the start of my next bend. And then that bend is 22.5 degrees. And then that's the end of my next bend. And then to do the last notch, I kind of just hold it up next to it and draw an angle and then cut it, then notch it. Yeah, I'm gonna try this bend here. I'm gonna try having this bend a little bit lower. So it's still gonna come down, and the bend will have to be a little bit steeper. So it'll have to be like maybe 25, but yeah, I'll work that out as I go. But we'll do this first half first. So I'm gonna do 370 and then a 70-degree bend. So we're dropping the bend by 50 mil. That's going to change the angle by about 5 degrees. So before I bent it to 22.5, this time I'm going to bend it to 27.5. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure the bend's on the right plane. So I want it to be exactly 90 degrees from the other one. Then put this on the end. Zero that to the die. We know that that was set up at 0, and so now when we rotate this, we rotate it until it says 90 degrees on that, while also lining up our next bend mark. 89.6, that's close enough for me. And we've got our mark lined up, so we're ready to bend. All right, we're going to 27.5. All right, now it's trued up with the car. I've just got to get a mark here. It's time to build the next one. And now it's just a matter of referencing what I've done to that one. And yes, I'm in Crocs. If you see me wearing Crocs while I'm doing this, well, that's it for another night. I've got the brush bars all tacked on. Before I weld them out, I'm going to take the sliders off. I've got 4 tacks around each join, so they're not going anywhere. So I can take the whole sliders off now and weld them out, so I'm not trying to weld into crappy little areas like last time. But before I'm going to take the sliders off, I think I'm going to remake my cab guards, which is these ones here, the ones that come down and protect the chop. So then I can just take them all off and weld them all out in one go. Alright, so it's a couple of days later and I'm just doing the little linking bars from the rock sliders up to the tray. So I've settled with pretty much what I had before, and if I have tube left over at the end, I might even try like one more little piece linking into it, so there's like twin tubes there. But for now, it's kind of just a more refined version of what I had. Like the angles are better, the bends are better, the straight bit's straighter. Like, it just looks better than the last one. I thought I'd just make the first one. So here it is. It's made up of a 70-degree bend here, and then it comes around here, and that kicks in by 20 degrees to this. And so the way it'll actually look is this will run uniform with the slider, and then this will kick back in at 20 degrees back in towards the cab guard. So now I've got to do exactly the same thing again, except the mirror image. Accidentally measured on the wrong side of one of the dies in the bender, which is okay. I still got both of them made up. They're both the same. However, there is a 40mm difference in the length of them because one of the bends was measured from a different spot. So they're both the same. They're both all good. It's just that when I do the cut for the camberg, I'm going to remove 40mm from one of them, which will bring them back to the same length. So if you see here, so this one's got one bit of tape where I'm going to cut on the bottom of it. And then with this one, that gap in there is 40mm. And so I'm going to cut that ring out of there. And then that means that they'll both be exactly the same length. Anyway, I'll get cutting and then I'll get these cambergs in them and then we can tack them to the car, drop the sliders, weld them out. Yeah, I've got the cambergs welded into all the pieces. So you can see them in there. That was a bit of a mission because I had to like, these two bends are clocked like 20 degrees from one another. And so, yeah, I had to cut them in half, then weld them back together, make sure they were straight, make sure they were still clocked right, and then sand them out. I've got one sitting on the car, I'll show you. So there he is there. He's all sanded up. I'm going to put some really good tacks on there and then I'll unbolt the lot. I'll weld them out just on the floor here. The only one I won't be able to weld on the floor, obviously, is the bit that goes into the tray. I'll just protect the cab and I'll get around that. I've done it before. That's where my old ones used to go into the tray. So yeah, I'll get this last one cleaned up. We'll tack them on. They're all tacked on. I'll probably take these sliders off so I can weld them out, paint them, and get them back on the car. I'm going to call it for the night. So yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Alright, so I got all that painting finished up last night, and this morning I just did a bit of touch-ups on the car to the two pieces that are welded to the car. Just parked the car out in the sun and they're curing up now. And yeah, the bar work turned out really, really good this morning. I've got it sitting out in the sun now, so I'll show you that, and then we'll get it on the car.
Yeah, I'm in your town, I'm coming your way, just wait up. Me and my team ain't taking no L's. I told them you don't wanna play us. We going downtown with a flight in the morning. Said fuck it, I'm just gonna stay up. Remember last year I told them the price, and now they all wanna pay up. They hit me now, they coming too late. All I reply is just save up. Me and my guys, we did it ourselves, so no one can say that they made us. They gave me the shit, they trying to guard me. I told them you gotta go straight up. We eating for days, I've been in the gym. I swear that I'm getting my way.
So yeah, this is all the hardware needed to bolt these up, minus the tools. So the back mount gets 3 of those, each other mount gets 4 of these, and then these are all for the camber joints. You can imagine getting all that heat into all these different planes and then trying to get 15 bolts to line up. That's why it's important to do a lot of the welding while it's bolted to the car, because you'd be surprised how much heat moves around stuff.
Go to the bank, withdraw the cash, and I told all my brothers to bet it. All on myself, ayy, I told them we get in the bag. Remember the days when we was in school, they would just sit back and laugh. I'm thanking God for all of those times, cause now I know what I have. I'm on the track and I feel like a step, and I'm turning it up to the max. Yeah. I seen it all, you overt. Hop up in a whip, watch your skirt. I might risk it all for you first. Meet me in the night, shit get worse.
Get the speaker box loud, hitting that stuff till you hearing that sound.
So again, these were done when I did the long arms. They're just an extra mount that comes with these long arms that I did in a video a while ago, and I was finally able to utilize them and bolt up to them. So yeah, huge shout to Superior. Thanks guys, they worked a treat. Just sort of one passing thought too before I wrap up the video. I've heard and seen a few people say stuff about stuff not fitting, like Facebook groups and whatnot, like maybe you buy a set of rock sliders or suspension parts or whatever from a company, and you've kind of got to jimmy it into place or jack it into place or clamp it into place to get bolt holes to line up and things like that. Dead set, I made these sliders for this car and still had to, like, you know, kind of manipulate them into place to get bolt holes to line up, and that heat moves stuff, and you imagine I've got 15 bolt holes to line up, and these fit pretty good, but I had to tighten one bolt to get the rest to line up and things like that. And this is a 30-year-old car that was made on an assembly line over a decade, you know what I mean? And so the people that are making those products are making them for a car that's not even in their workshop. And you know, these cars, everyone's different. The chassis are a little bit different, the bodies are a little bit different, and they're making them on an assembly line with one jig to fit all these cars. And that's why with bull bars, for example, you see like slotted holes so that they've got tolerances so you can jimmy them into place and get them to line up with your body. Yeah, suffice to say, when you get a kit, obviously you might have to make it fit your car in one way or another. But anyway, we're going to call it there. Thanks heaps for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. We're going to start building the tray for my GU.